So welcome to Wisdom's Chats Friday. So we come to the end of the week, and as if the week hasn't had enough in it, we are going to go into the deep subject of cognitive dissonance. And in my email, I challenged anybody to come onto Wisdom Chat just so they can practice saying that, cognitive dissonance. So Edward, it's your ball. So you knew I was gonna come straight to you because you're the one that picked it up. So open the floor for us, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of cognitive dissonance until I saw an article and that caught my attention. And the headline was "The Hidden Bias That Drives Anti-Vegan Behavior." And as you'll know, I'm a vegan, very bravely appearing in the meat-eating capital of the world, South Africa. And then I read on in the article, it said, people love to moan that vegans are annoying. Research has shown that only drug addicts inspire the same loathing. It says now psychologists are starting to understand why. And it's becoming clear that the reasons aren't entirely rational. And then it put the reasons down mainly to cognitive dissonance. And I'd never really thought about that before. I know what it means. You know, it means having kind of thoughts and beliefs that don't really align with your actions, or having two thoughts that can't possibly be true. But I'd never really thought about it before. I never really thought about how pervasive it is and how it drives much of our behavior. And for example, you know, the English are a nation of nature lovers and animal lovers. You know, we love our cats, we love our dogs, we love our horses, we love pretty little lambs, we love little foals, we love calves. But we chomp our way through loads and loads and loads of animals. So how do you possibly align those two things that are discordant? And human beings want to be really at peace with their thoughts. They want thoughts that align with each other. So they come up with all sorts of coping strategies to cope with it, because if they can't change their behavior to align with their thoughts, then they'll come up with some reasons why what they're doing is okay. And for example, smokers will often say, well, because everyone knows smoking's bad for us, but still we get lots of intelligent people smoking. And they'll turn around and say, well, yeah, but smoking calms me down. Or, you know, it helps me to concentrate. They'll come up with other cognitions that support their behavior. So supporting one side of the argument. And, you know, we will do lots and lots of things to support our strange behavior. We will tend to only listen to stuff that supports what we're doing. So, you know, we'll ignore stuff that doesn't support what we're doing. And of course, with meat eaters, and I'm going to use vegans as an example because I am one, and I think I'm nice. I'm not annoying, I don't think, but Trevor might disagree. And I will agree there are some really bloody annoying vegans. They wind me up. And apparently, ethical vegans are the worst. And an ethical vegan is someone that's vegan because of really good, strong moral reasons. And you can't argue against that. But if you've got someone that's a vegan because perhaps their mother made them eat their pet rabbit, then meat eaters can turn around and say, oh yes, but my mother didn't make me eat my pet rabbit. That's why it's okay that I'm a meat eater. Because had my mother made me eat my pet rabbit, I would be a vegan. So we don't like the strong moral side because we can't argue against it. And this causes some really sort of strange things. So, you know, some of my vegan friends are very fond of posting on Facebook pictures of animals being badly treated. But all that does is force people with cognitive dissonance to come up with more strategies to support what they're doing. So it's counterproductive. And that struck me as really interesting when you come to the anti-vax people, or it comes really interesting when it comes to caring about the environment, because we love our cars. And we know we're going to have to give up our cars perhaps, or we know we love buying stuff. We love to have, you know, 50,000-inch plasma TVs or whatever they are. You know, you see people with TVs bigger than their walls almost. But we know we've got to stop buying stuff. But when you put the message across that, you know, it's bad for the environment, people will find all sorts of ways to come up with an excuse why they shouldn't change. You know, and we see it throughout life. You'll find law-abiding citizens justifying why they break the speed limit because they like to speed, and because they're law-abiding, they've got to come up with a reason why they break the speed limit. Rather than obeying the speed limit, which would be the sensible thing to do, they come up with reasons why it's like, oh, I'm a better driver. The speed limit's only for bad drivers. So yeah, so I think actually cognitive dissonance and our strategies to cope with it, because we want to have accord, shapes all our behavior and shapes the way we get information, because we will look for information that confirms our strange belief that, you know, breaking the speed limit's right, or so we'll spend all our time watching that dreadful person, Jeremy Clarkson, on that motoring show, rather than listening to a police officer. And it wasn't until I came across that article and started researching this whole thing about cognitive dissonance, I realized how pervasive it is. And I'm busy thinking, well, where's mine? And how do I find it? Yeah, so hopefully Laura, who's the expert in this area, will put me straight. But vegans aren't annoying, they're just right.
What a great way to end, Edward. But I do love your last question. So where is mine? I think that's going to be the telling question, isn't it? So Laura or Edward definitely pointed, I'm sorry that you, I hope you're okay. All the sneezing is happening there. But tell us about cognitive dissonance. What do you know, and what can you share with us about it?
Well, all of a sudden my allergies must have started kicking. I must be allergic to vegans. I don't know what's going on. Although my cognitions is trying to make sense of the fact that I did participate and take ownership as an active vegan for some time. And then I couldn't take it. It was too difficult. Well, I learned to drive. That was difficult. I learned to survive as well as I could in life. That was difficult. So what do I make sense of that? And I was living in Europe, and I said, I'm going to Sweden and Norway. I'm eating the fish. So what's difficult? Making sense of that. An example I have is my ex-husband. He was active duty military and retired, actually. So I think about, what's murder? I think I mentioned this before. How do we define murder? What's appropriate, and what I can only speak from the United States, and only one person out of how many million. Okay, I'm not, certainly not the ownership on ethics and morals for an entire country or society or culture even. What's considered murder? Taking a life, I suppose. In what context is it okay? Is a person walking on a bus or a train or trolley with a machete and taking life? is that okay? Is a woman who's raped, sodomized, who becomes pregnant and chooses to take a life, is that murder? And to what extent in that regard does a law allow that it's okay to have voluntary abortion, that under certain contexts, under certain circumstances, is it okay, and who decides if it's okay? If a person is called to engage in acts of what some might consider violence and others might consider acts of justice, acts of peace, by their own country, dictated that it's legal to take a life when it's in protection of one's military stance. Is that taking a life? And in certain circumstances, if a country's military is called upon taking lives of other countries, cultures, societies, who's the terrorist? I'm not sure to what extent the individuals listening on this call or those watching are familiar with the physician, Dr. Jack Kevorkian, and those who choose elective killing because of their medical circumstances. When is it okay? The death penalty. Under what circumstances is it okay when taking a life is considered wrong? Some might argue. And that the most humane manner that whatever group is decided that it's okay to make laws on how to take a life. Let's say someone is determined by the law, the legal system, that, okay, someone took someone else's life in whatever sense. Let's say it might be considered an act of violence. Well, what is violence? What's the spectrum? How do you determine where that spectrum lies, and where that individual, that act is caused? And then they take a life, and then a legal system indicates that they then are authorized to take that person's life. It's not okay to take a life, but it's okay to take a life. And then to take a life based on what's considered legal, that the most humane act to take that life of the person who's taken a life is then determined okay. But some might consider the means in which a person commits murder was just inhumane. I don't know. To shed light on, I'm having my cognitions are in a dissonant state because who's to say what is right or wrong? It's like the stallion story and the farmer. Who's to say what is good or bad? It's all a matter of perspective. So I have no answers, and therein I lay a state of dissonance. Boom, boom. Mic drop. Thank you. I'm done.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know that I've ever heard so many questions in one conversation, but that is exactly what the topic is about, isn't it? Is asking the question. So thanks, Laura. Thank you for giving us more to think about. That's the point, right? Tabisa, I have to turn to you because you definitely I'm trusting that you've done a lot of homework on cognitive dissonance. So over to you.
I remember one time a friend of mine, had some great news. He wanted to tell his inner circle something, He said that he wanted to start a business, and the responses were overwhelmingly positive, except for one, It wasn't that bad, but it was disguised, it was hell. The comment was, well done, hopefully you'll make some money, I just felt that it was in bad taste, because he implied that he was doing this for the money. Plus, he shifted the focus from the news how about just well done, man? The comment was just passive aggressive, you know. Um, this is this is what cognitive dissonance is about, you know, when the brain holds two conflicting ideas at the same time, you know, saying and doing another. It is that praise, you know, it is being conflicted, it's being split into two. It is inconsistent, like God loving us and at the sending us to hell, you know. I just find that analogy suspect, you know. So I see you, Christianity, you know, and God already knows that I'm a sinner. Are you saying that I'm irredeemable and that I can't be saved? I don't think God would judge me like that. It's not, He knows my heart, you know. But you know, I just think that passive aggressive and behavior works so much because it is so indirect and leaves much to the imagination, you know. Passive behavior is just so popular today, you know, like that one person who always comes late and always apologizes, like, yeah, get it, Steve, you're superior. Yeah, man. Or that one guy who takes an eternity to respond to your test, despite the fact that online, you know, I feel that people who engage in such acts are just deep narcissists, you know, and you know, deep narcissists are just passive aggressive behavior, you know. They want to keep you dependent on them, you know. And of course, they are deluded because we always see what they are doing, you know. They think they are clever, but there is a deep narcissist in their life, you know. I just think that Cole Young has actually taught me a lot, you know. He actually taught me to accept people as they are, you know, accept people as facts and don't take things personally because we are all repressed and we tend to project onto the large, you know. As we have and biases, and that isn't helping our case as well, you know. I just feel that being a human being is just too work. It's truly what you make it, you know. And I just think it's just mention on cognitive video. So thank you.
Thanks, Tabiso. I do like that connection between cognitive dissonance and passive aggressiveness. I would never have made that association, but I do think they are connected. So thanks so much. And in that light, Edward did raise an interesting question in the chat saying, you know, people watching on YouTube, what do they think when we turn off our videos, when you start talking? As if, okay, it's Tabiso, everybody shut down. So for anybody who's watching this, we are doing this out of kindness to Tabiso so that we can hear, and to ourselves, so we can hear his wisdom. Otherwise, his bandwidth doesn't allow us to actually, for him to hear. So, and for us to hear him. So that's just by way of explanation. Thanks, Edward, for letting us tell the people at large. Jasper, cognitive dissonance.
I think, yeah, you described what I'm feeling right now, because I like being here, but I don't know why I'm here. Because I can't contribute anything. Not on this topic, because I don't know why, but this cognitive dissonance, as I heard the word, I was thinking on the topic of free will. And I thought, why would the creator who creates a thing at the same time give that thing free will to the extent that that thing or that human can decide to go against and hate the creator and destroy everything that the creator intends? because that's implicitly what free will imply. And then we end up, but then there's also this thing of the creator saying, I put before you two choices. If you choose the good, this is the rewards. If you choose the bad, these are the consequences. And now on a daily basis, we see these choices that people make play out. And if they do it as a collective, as a company, as a country, and as a community, then it plays out for that country and that community. But then we blame the creator. So I don't know why my mind went along these roads, but I do accept the fact that, and we've had this discussion on a previous occasion, that we have our own biases. I don't see my bias as bad or negative. That's my bias. It has helped me to cope with life. It has helped me, it protects me. We have limited time. I've got only 24 hours a day. So for me to cope with my life, I have to put on certain filters and only filter in and allow in what helps to move me forward. And whatever I consider as being moved forward. Now that can be in direct contrast with another guy who feels that I'm in his way. So that's the contradiction that we have in life. So I feel then that person is against me. And the other thing that I started to write down is what then makes people, and they probably don't mean it, but they are so strong in their bias. And I'm just looking at socialism versus capitalism. And you can have good or bad on both sides, but in essence, socialism says, let's not allow people to be different. Let's make everybody equal, so that there's no good or bad, and everybody is equally poor and they have equal access to everything. And if you have unlimited resources, wonderful. But what actually grew that economy was the fact that people are different. And we've never learned how to appreciate and respect the differences in each other and how to complement each other's differences to make a better whole. And now capitalism got a bad name and we want to destroy it, but that is what has the ability to take seemingly insufficient resources and through creativeness, put those resources into work so that there's a commercially sustainable solution. Now, I know this is a topic that we can go on to another tangent, but you can obviously see that I'm for capitalism, but capitalism with a heart, because you also get the bad apples that then do it purely out of greed and for power play. But so you have the same greed and power play on the other side of the spectrum. So we start to confuse people's bad tendencies, and then we destroy the thing that's actually good. And now, in the end, the economy is destroyed and the socialists are happy. We've achieved what we want. And what we're now seeing play out in front of our lives in the world is this final stage of socialism, and that's centralism, where everything is controlled from a central office where nobody cares about what's happening on the ground, whereas we live in such a unique society with so many micro niches, and you can't treat those micro niches with what's decided on a centralist decision-making body. You have to give power back to where it was originated from, and that's at families and at communities who knows what they're dealing with so that they can handle what they, and empower them to deal with what they have. So yeah, I can't see this ever being changed, so we can discuss it, we can acknowledge it, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yes, but fascinating input. I'm not sure what it had to do with cognitive dissonance, but I'm very grateful that you shared. You definitely took the Trevor route. Like, this is the topic, but I'm going to talk about what I want anyway. But it was a great input. Thank you so much. Trevor, please. It's your
and I understood every word that Jasper said. I was absolutely on track with him. And And but the only thing that I object to that Jasper said, he called me a thingy, I think. He gave these things free will. So I'm a little bit annoyed with him on that one. And I'm also annoyed with the little crocodile, because he debased all deep narcissists. I absolutely object on behalf of deep narcissists. Little crocodile who is Tabisa sitting there somewhere. Now, yesterday, I think I ended up with the thought when you brought up the subject. What was the subject again? Hey, you see, I can't hold too many thoughts in my head. Cognitive dissonance. And I said, I thought, therefore I was, which Lee grabbed onto straight away. And my mind, I think, is just made for this particular topic, because I tend to flip everything that everyone says. And I've posted in here, I think what made sense to me many years ago, and this was in the late 80s, that answered this problem of cognitive dissonance that is in everyone's mind. And today it is at top of mind, but most people don't recognize it. Our heads are in turmoil because of all the crisis, the confusion, what's happening in politics, COVID, and people just don't know what to think anymore. And you can see just how confused Ed is. And Ed reminded me of an individual that my wife works with, who turned around and said she will never eat anything with eyes. And that was an interesting discussion, because we asked her then, do you eat potatoes? And she said, yeah, I love it because I'm a vegan. And she didn't get it. So I had to laugh then. But listening to Ed took me right back to my reading of Stephen Covey. And there was I quickly went on to Google to see if I could get a quick summary of it. And this woman has written a lovely summary of the difference between values and principles, what is objective and what is subjective. And it reminded me of Covey's example, where he turned around of this, probably a narcissistic captain on the biggest blooming warship or tanker or whatever it was, heading for a light. And this captain thought that light had to move over. And he was sending messages across there, move over. And the light kept sending the message back and said, no, you move over. And the captain said, listen, I'm this huge warship and I can blow you out the water and all that sort of thing. You move over. And the light sent back and said, I'm a lighthouse. Guess who moved? And I thought that really explained the difference between subjective values versus rock solid principles. And then when I listened to Ed talking about his veganese, he comes from the land of veganese, and I wonder, are those rock solid principles, or might he change over a period of time when he smells that beautiful steak and boerewors when he comes across here to South Africa, brine on the brine, he gets the smell going. I think we could convert him. That's me.
I actually love that story, Trevor. It's actually I think one of the best parts of that entire book. It was just illustrates the point so brilliantly. So yep. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think for me, cognitive dissonance, you've all spoken about all the principles and all the rest of it, but I come back to Edward's question, and this is the question I was asking myself: how does it show up in my life? And I think the simplest way that I know that I live with cognitive dissonance is, and I catch myself in it. There may be other areas where I don't even know, I'm not even aware what I'm justifying. Sorry, I got distracted by the chat there. It was definitely going down the wrong road. is, so where I'm aware of cognitive dissonance is when I call somebody out. Even in my mind, I say, oh, I can't believe they're doing that, or they should be doing that, or, and then I have to look at myself and I have to say, you know, what am I doing that's, that is the same as that or aligned with that. And so it's just that being aware of what we accuse others of. That we aren't actually also in that same boat. So yeah, I think that's enough said. I'm not hearing any. I think
We are listening. We are listening,
wild
Lee.
and woolly, let's put it that way.
It's obviously Friday, isn't it? Because we're all talking about Trevor's little thingy.
Well, thanks, Ella. Oh dear. Now we definitely are in trouble.
I will remind you all that it is my 40th anniversary in a couple of days' time. How did we lost?
How did we last? Oh,
We
dear.
ate meat. We ate meat.
Oh,
And,
So,
and Laura's cooked her mox goose.
you know what? There is definitely Friday fever in
Yeah.
Wisdom Chats. We can start on a Friday with the most esoteric, philosophical, deep subject, but somehow we will turn it around,
But
especially Friday.
Can you imagine enjoying a tofu key in the oven for
I love
Thanksgiving?
tteokbokki.
A tofu key.
So good. If you haven't, don't tonight. This is why I put myself on mute. Because you already know what I'm thinking and what I'm, because you see me.
Too funny.
Okay, people, subject for Monday, because I am definitely lost. Anything that anybody wants to come up with, Trevor.
Yeah, no, I've got something really heavy on my, not on my heart, it's in my head, and it has capitalistic leanings. So Ed can go off, but it's not. It's actually for Ed. I'm really getting deep into the building of a tribe, and what it takes to build a tribe. And I think that's what we're doing here, but we're not doing it at all well. And so between ourselves, how to actually grow exponentially into numbers and numbers. And it's been fascinating, the research that I've actually been doing. And I want to hear what other people think about the building of a tribe today, especially when it relates back to this cognitive dissonance or the difference between values and principles and like-minded people, and how you bring like-minded people together at this current time where there's chaos, crisis, COVID, people are locked down, it's coming back and forward. I mean, it's a fascinating subject, and we've got to be putting it into effect.
Don't forget about like-minded.
Well, she's part of the tribe, or he's part of the tribe. Welcome, welcome.
Yeah, wisdom side, but I know I'm feeling stuff. I love this group. Thank you.
Well, yes, tribes is the topic for Monday. Thanks, everybody. Have a fabulous weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Bye.
Love you. Love you.